Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to my glass studio. I'd like to talk to you about getting organized with your glass firing and your fusing. What I like to do in my studio, I have several different kilns, several different kinds of kilns. And so what I do is each of my kilns has its own little cheat sheet. On the cheat sheet, I have two small kilns over here, and my cheat sheet here tells me program 1, 2, and 3 and what those programs are set to do. So when I put a piece of glass in that kiln, I don't have to try to recall all that information. It's already in there. Now I do cycle through each program before I hit the start button, just to make sure I've got the right one. And if I'm distracted, if there's someone talking to me, if there's something, where my focus is not completely on that controller, I'll go through it a second time, maybe even a third time, and I'm checking the top temperature to make sure that kiln is going to perform and fire the way I want it to so that project inside comes out successfully. So over here I've got two small kilns, and each one of those kilns, program number 1, is full fuse for small project. In my studio, a small project is anything that's 12 inches in size or smaller. Right here, this is one of my brand new courses that just came out called Great Fall, and this would be considered a small project because it's 12 inches, it's like 11 inches in size. So 11 to 12 inches in size or smaller, I would fire at this temperature, this program. And also that kiln has like a 13-inch shelf. So I really don't have to worry about firing anything big in there because you can't, no room. So program number 2 is slump for small. Program number 3 is tack for small. And then it has a 4th and 5th program, but I change those based on what it is I'm doing. Let's say I want to fire some paint onto glass. Then I would put that program right here. So these programs change all the time. That's why they're not on the list. Then my Firebox 14 over here. You see a lot of projects going in that kiln because it has a nice 14-inch interior, which is great. You can fit a lot more project in there than you can on a round shelf. You get more project in a square kiln than you can in a round kiln. So I like to fire that a lot in there because it's very reliable. Great kiln, love it. So here, program number 1 is full fuse small. Number 2, slump small. And number 3, tack small. You seeing a pattern here? By having this pattern on my different kilns, it reduces the amount of wasted time and increases my workflow efficiency. So this gets hung on the wall over near those kilns so I can read it and access it anytime. I have an oval over here with a 24 by 36 inch interior, and it has 6 different programs. So that controller will retain 6 different programs. You can change them anytime you want, but they're always in there. So when you recall program number 1, in that kiln it's full fuse small. Number 2 is full fuse large. Large would be something larger than 12 inches in size, but only 2 layers plus an accent. Number 3 is tack fuse for small. Number 4 is slump small and 12 inches in size. Number 5 is slump large. Let's say I were making a bowl that's 19 inches across. I would slump that under the large one because it goes slower. It'll have a greater number of segments and will raise the temperature in that kiln slower and bring it back down slower, and it'll have a longer anneal time. So that would be large. All right, and then number 5 is slump. Oh, we did that already. And then 6 is black paint. There's a material called black outlining paint it's a powder material, you mix it with water and a sticking agent. And that's what traditional stained glass windows, church windows and things where they've features, faces, hands, fabric painted on top of the glass. That's that type of paint. And that my temperature increases 500 degrees an hour. I go to 1450, and you don't really have to hold it there very long. It's like 5 minutes because the paint is so thin. It gets fired on permanently very, very quickly. In addition to having this cheat sheet as to what programs are in that kiln in which order, I also have a couple notes to myself down here. Wine bottles. If I want to flatten out wine bottles, I use program number 1, which is the same as full fuse for 12 inches or smaller projects. Flower vases. I make these flower vases with this beautiful crystal look on them made with frit. They're called ice vase. And flower vases with medium clear frit, I should use the slump fuse to get that frit to still have a really good texture. If you do a tack fuse, the frit comes out too soft and it doesn't reflect the light as well. And then down here, let's see, when it's really cold in the winter, number 6, I change it to warm. And the kiln goes up to 75 degrees and stays there for 30 minutes to heat up my studio if I'm cold. Now, I very rarely have to use that. Matter of fact, I love the cold, especially after a long hot summer. But, you know, I've just made that note to myself so I don't have to remember, oh, what was that? How did we do that in the past? I got it right there. All right, clamshells. Over here, I've got my 2 clamshells behind me. Now, they have a more advanced controller where all the information is plugged in there and you can see it on a digital display. So I don't need a cheat sheet for those anymore. But what I do have here are some notes to myself of techniques I've done that are different than usual, what temperature I did them, what temperature increase I had, or what top temperature, and how long I held them there. So number 1 is light tack for ribbons. I made ribbons one time, and I take those to 1310 degrees and I hold there for 10 minutes. My pot melts, I fire those at 1500 degrees an hour up to 1700 and I hold it there 90 minutes. So these programs are not permanently in there, or they might be, I don't know. But the thing is, I have my notes right here so I don't have to search for them, try to find them. So that's really helpful. Combing, I've got that on here. And then I have a specific custom mold that I make where I slump a project called Envy and another one called Dancer. And then here's the this cheat sheet or notes for that particular firing. Then I've got Big Blue, a big kiln over here. And that one, the controller is totally different from all my others. You enter the information differently, and it's difficult for me to change the programs in that kiln because it's complicated. Plus, it's in a corner. You have to sit on a little stool, and you're in there in a little tight corner trying to push these little buttons. So I've got my cheat sheet right here. Number 1 is full fuse for sinks, because I make sinks in there all the time. Number 2 is slump large knot sinks. Okay, sinks sometimes can be as much as 3/4 of an inch thick. So if I'm doing anything with a sink, I want the program to be really conservative, slow up, long anneal, and slow down. Slow from annealing temperature down to room temperature. So that is not sinks. That would be something different. Slump large thick sinks is number 3. Now these aren't necessarily in the order that I would prefer them in, but because that kiln is complicated for me to set up, if it's in there and it's working, I'm not changing it. I think it's fine. Number 4, slump small, and that kiln fires hotter than my others. Normal slump would be 1265 in my other kilns, degrees Fahrenheit, and that kiln at 1200 degrees, I get the exact same effect. That's what comes with knowing your equipment, you know, getting to a relationship with your kiln where you know what to expect from it. And then by taking notes, I don't just set it to 1265 every time or worry. I now know that at 1200 I'm going to get the same results I get in my other kilns. And a lot of times I might do part of a project in one kiln, another part of the same project in a different kiln, so I want my results to be similar. I don't want them to be real drastically different. All right, and number 5 is full fuse small. That would be 12 inches in size or smaller. Number 6, I have a question mark. I don't even know what that is. Number 7, full fuse large kites, not sinks. So I made these kites, these pieces of glass that were the full size of that kiln, but they weren't very thick. So I fired those at their own specific firing program. Then tack for small, and this is to match the oval. So I have another kiln. I would sometimes tack fuse part of the project pieces in that kiln and part of the ones in Big Blue. So this is to match that kiln. And then drape vases, 1185 degrees, hold for 5 minutes. My other kilns, I hold the vases for like 10 minutes. That kiln, as I said, it fires hotter. So over time, taking notes and having this reference right here ensures that I have consistency and continued success. I've been firing glass for 38 years. That's a long time. I have had a lot of wonderful projects and I've had a lot of mistakes. I've had a lot of things that didn't turn out well. So all this information is me taking advantage of my experience and not having to reintroduce something, not have to reinvent the wheel. It's all right here. So I wanted to show you, this is one of my notebooks. And this is when I first got Big Blue. And I've got all these different, like, anytime you see a little slash mark, that's where I change the program or the temperature. So, can you see this? Should I bring it closer? All right, there we go. How's that? Better? I'll take a picture of this page for you and add it to the video. Anyway, this is all my hard-earned knowledge and education that I share with you in these videos. Now, you don't have to go through all this to have wonderful, successful projects. I hand it to you. All you have to do is get out there and be creative and have a good time and enjoy yourself. So this book goes back to '06, coming up on 8 years, right? Right? No, how long? 18 years? I don't know. Wow. Math is not my thing. Remember I told you in one of the other videos. This goes back to, oh, Joe, why is it '06? That's 18 years, isn't it? He's not helping me. He's not helping me with the math. Whatever. It's a long time, okay? Anyway, so then it goes on and on. So I did here, I did here, I did here. All right, then it goes here. Then there's a little arrow saying go here, another little arrow saying go here, another little arrow going over here. And that's every time, every one of those dates is when I changed something in the kiln. Then over here, look, it goes on and on and on. There's more there. Woohoo, it works. Love that kind of notation on my book. There's one of them that says poop, 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 poop. We know what happened there. This was before emojis. So I just have, and that's not really the word I use, but that's what I'm going to use on YouTube because I want to make sure that I don't get flagged for any bad language. All right, and then over here, see this last year? That means I abandoned that firing guide altogether. And then look at the arrows. I went from here to here to here, and every one of these little scribbles is when I change temperature again. All right, more. Look at that. I even got different colored pens. Large kites fired here. So that was that program. Here's another page of more notes. This is when I call the manufacturer to get help. Per Curtis, this is what I should do. And then look, it's starting to get neater. This is when I got my clamshell. Things are starting to get a lot neater. Real easy to follow because of all that hard-earned knowledge. All right, let's see, any more pages here. All right, here we go. Here's a clamshell with a couple notations, big blue. I put the name of the kiln. So my point here, look, how old and how frayed this stuff is, right? So what I'm trying to get across to you here is I'm trying to help you and give you this knowledge that I have earned and in these videos and help you be successful from the beginning. But, you know, if you start doing your own firing, if you're doing your own projects, your own kilns in your own house, excuse me, it's really beneficial to take notes and keep track of what you're doing in some sort of little notebook where you can find it, you can access it easily. And when I had to fire something that was really big, and I hadn't done it before, I went back to my notes and I looked at things that were similar. And I used that as a skeleton, as an outline for what I would do in that new project. All right, on the inside cover, I have notes to myself on how to start the kiln, and I have notes on wedding vases. That was back in 2015 that we did those. And so we did, I've got the size of the glass, what technique I used, the firing that I used, so when I want to do those again, because there was a few things I did differently than I would normally with that type of project, because I wanted that frit to be really shiny and kind of sharp looking so it would reflect the light nicely. So check it out, even the retro pink hearts here. I mean, a 14-year-old, well, I know a 14-year-old today would love this, but my 14-year-old self loves it. Anyway, so I just wanted to share with you some of the things that go into all the projects that you're seeing for free on YouTube and all that goes into my projects on my premium video membership. We try to make it simple for you. We try to make it fun. We want to keep the fun in your fusing. I know it's complicated. I know it's technical. But, you know, fortunately, you just go out to your studio, pick out your colors. You can go to my website and get all of my firing programs. You can download the document for free. So, you know, we're trying to make this as easy and accessible for you so that you can just have a great time being fired up out in your studio. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that kind of diving into firing programs and, you know, getting organized with your kilns, and maybe you got some ideas for how you can do that. Now, some of these kilns, I've just left the notes on here just in case I didn't write something down accurately or I need more information later. I just left it on there. I got these little clipboards at the, you know, the office supply store. So I hope this is helpful for you, and even if you're not firing your own kilns, now you kind of know what goes into goes on behind the scenes with all the pieces that you get to see online and in my membership. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this useful and helpful. Please follow, like, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Comment. We love when you comment because it encourages us to be out here and making more videos for you. Consider becoming a premium video member. We would love to have you. We have new content, exclusive courses coming out all the time. As I mentioned, this is the latest one. And I show you how to do a background with frit. I show you how to decorate with detail, with all different kind of details. Show you how to introduce wording, text on your art. So it's a lot of fun. And everything you learn in this, it applies to other projects. You can use these techniques in other projects. So consider becoming a premium member. We would love to have you. And until next time, happy fusing.